Students, welcome to another class of engineering mechanics. So far we have completed 2 units in engineering mechanics. That is, the first unit is resultant and equilibrium of system of forces, isn't it? And the next unit which we have taken is centroid and moment of inertia. All right, so these are the 2 units which we have completed completely. Okay, so today we will start another unit, that is friction. Okay, this is very important unit, and the friction has a base or a background of resultant and equilibrium. Okay, whatever the forces or whatever the problems which we have solved in resultant and equilibrium, both will be useful to us in friction. So I request all the students to be thorough in this unit as well as in this unit, so that if one study this unit, then only he will be able to understand the third unit, that is friction. Okay, friction can be understood with the help of the base of this unit and this part, that is resultant and equilibrium. If a student is not perfect in resultant and in equilibrium, then he could not able to understand friction. Okay, so I request everyone to be thorough in this unit. Along with that, centroid is also important, so you have to be thorough in centroid also. Okay, so now we will start unit, that is friction. So right here, friction. So what do you mean by friction? So what is the meaning of friction? Yes, suppose for example a body is placed on a horizontal surface. Okay, a body is kept on a horizontal surface, and this is the block which is kept over the surface. Okay, and the weight of the block is W, let us say W. Okay, so suppose for example, if I want to move the block in right side direction, I want to move this block in rightward direction, so I have applied a force of P which is acting in horizontal direction towards right side. So what happens, there will be an contact between the ground level or surface. This is my surface of ground, and again we'll be having a surface of block, isn't it? Surface of block. These are the two interfaces. All right, this is the two interfaces we have here. At this location we'll be having two parts. One is this block, and another surface will be the ground surface. So what happens, if the block is moving in a right side direction, there will be, if the surface is rough, then what happens, there will be a frictional force developed in opposite direction to the movement of the block. Suppose for example my block is moving in right side direction, so the frictional force will act exactly in opposite direction. Frictional force will act in opposite direction. So where the frictional force will act, at this location. Frictional force will act at this location F, but to understand that, we will show it's at the bottom. Okay, we will show our frictional force at the bottom. Okay, so this is nothing but your frictional force. Another example is, we have tires, isn't it? A vehicle will have tires, isn't it? Vehicle will be having a tires, so in those tires will be having some grip type of thing, isn't it? So that is nothing but to get a rough surface, to get a friction between the ground, between the road and the ground, isn't it? So that is nothing but your friction. Along with that, we hold pen, pencil, isn't it? So we'll be having, in a pen we'll be having a grip type of thing on our pens, isn't it? So what is that? It is kept to create friction between the surface of our fingers and the surface of the pen, isn't it? So friction is very very important. Again, without friction there will not be anything which will be standing clearly. Okay, suppose for example I have a building here. Okay, I have a building here and there is a road here. So what we do, we create a ramp, isn't it? So we construct a ramp. So on the ramp also we try to give some protrusions like this, right? If you see from the sectional view, we provide like this, so that if the vehicle comes here, suppose this is my vehicle, if the vehicle comes and tries to move in upward direction, there should be some friction between the surface of the ramp and the surface of the tire to create friction. Then only, if there is no friction, then what happens? My tire will rotate at the same location. So to create friction, what we do, we provide grooves on the surface of the ramp. Okay, so that this is why friction is very very important. So now what I will do, I will give you some important definitions of friction. Okay, so you can write here. Friction, try to maintain these notes. Friction may be defined as the contact resistance exerted by one body upon second body. So with the help of this example, you can see here that this is the surface of my ramp, okay, and this is the surface of the tire. So it is nothing but friction may be defined as the contact resistance exerted by one body. This is one body, and upon second body. Where is second body? Second body is the ramp. Okay, upon second body, when the second body moves or tends to move, right here, when the body tends to move apart, tends to move over the first body. Okay, now another example of friction is, I can write here, or another definition is friction is a retarding force. Retarding is nothing but reducing. Retarding force always acts opposite to the motion, opposite to the motion of the moving body. So it is nothing but I have shown you here. So it is a retarding force. Frictional force is a retarding force which will act opposite to the direction of movement of the body, and it will always act opposite to the motion of the block or body. Okay, now another thing is, we'll move further, that is, friction exists primarily because of the roughness of the contact surfaces. So these are all theory part. So try to note down these things. This is very very important about friction. Each and every point is important here. Friction exists primarily because of the roughness, because of the roughness of the contact surfaces, of the contact surfaces. If contact surfaces are very smooth, if contact surfaces are very smooth, contact surfaces are very smooth, then what happens? There is no friction, there is no friction, then there is no friction. So what is the meaning of this one? Then there is no friction. Sorry, then there is no friction. What is the meaning of that? See, here we have come across many problems in resultant and equilibrium, wherein they used to say resting on smooth horizontal surfaces, smooth horizontal surfaces. If you recall, or if you see your problems related to equilibrium, we have seen that there are many problems wherein they have mentioned there is a smooth horizontal surface, but here in friction what happens? We'll be having a rough horizontal surface from here onwards. Okay, then see, this is very very important point. Friction exists primarily because of the roughness of the contact surfaces, roughness of the contact surfaces. If the contact surfaces are very smooth, are smooth or very smooth, then there is no friction. Okay, so this is very very important part. This is one point, this is second point, third point. These are very very important whenever they ask you about the define friction, or what is the definition of friction, then you have to mention these 3 points very clearly. Okay, now we will move further. That is, I will take down the types of friction. Okay, types of friction, types of friction. So how many types of frictions are there? Basically we have two types of friction. First is dry friction. So what is this dry friction? This dry friction describes a tangential component. Dry friction is nothing but whenever we have a block resting on the horizontal surface, then it is said to be a dry friction. Suppose for example we have a ladder resting on a horizontal surface like this, then it is said to be a dry friction. Okay, whenever blocks are resting on on an inclined surface, then this is said to be a dry friction. Okay, what next is fluid friction. Next is fluid friction. So what is the meaning of fluid friction? See here, so we'll be having many fluids. For example, we have oils, we have different types of oils, we have gear oils, we have many different types of oils. So oils have different viscosity, different viscous of so water will be very liquid, isn't it, when compared to gear oil. Gear oil is again very viscous, then when compared to gear oil and engine oil, different viscosity will be there in these fluids. So one is water. This is completely free from any viscosity. Then next we have gear oil. Then we have engine oil. Then we have brake oil, right? So many oils we have, and all these oils will have different coefficient of friction or different viscosity, we can say. Viscosity, different viscosities will be there. Okay, so every fluid have different frictions. So this is nothing but your dry friction and fluid friction. All right, now we will move to the next topic, that is coefficient of friction. So this is very very important here. So before that, we will take down this one, that is theory of friction. theory of friction. So theory of friction is nothing but, suppose for example, I have a body, I have a surface here, okay. So this implies, this theory of friction is always, will be using this concept in each and every problem of friction. So carefully observe here. So this is the block which is resting on a horizontal surface, and this is the weight of the block, this is weight W, and suppose if I am applying a horizontal force in this direction, that is P. So what happens here, we'll be having a frictional force acting exactly in opposite direction to the movement of the block, that is friction F. Now since we have a horizontal surface here, we'll be having reaction also, isn't it? So reaction will be always perpendicular to the surface of contact. We all know this one. Always reaction will be perpendicular to the surface of contact. That is, we say normal reaction. What we say? We say normal reaction. Always remember, these are the forces which will be coming across in each and every problem. Okay, we'll be having a block of weight W, then either the block will move in right direction or left direction. Then accordingly we'll be having, if the surface is rough, then we'll be having a frictional force. Since the block is resting on a horizontal surface, we'll be having a normal reaction, that is N here. Okay, so what we have to see here is, if P increases, suppose if P, I'll write here, if P is equal to 0, if the horizontal force applied is 0, then what happens? My frictional force will also be 0, isn't it? So when the frictional force is 0, when the external force is 0, frictional force will be 0. So I'll write here one sentence, that is, when P, this P is increasing, when P is given increasing values that are insufficient to cause motion, that are insufficient to cause motion, the frictional resistance increases, the frictional resistance or frictional force increases to maintain equilibrium, Now what is the meaning of this sentence? You see here, suppose this is the block, right? We have this block. So suppose the frictional force between these two surfaces is, let us say, 50 newtons. Okay, I am explaining the meaning of this sentence, this entire. Okay, so the force is 50 newtons. The frictional force is 50 newtons between the block and the surface. So what happens if I apply P, which is equal to 40 newtons? What happens? Whether the block will move or will stay at its own position? The block will rest on the same position, because the frictional force is more than the applied force. Okay, so what happens when I apply 40 newton? When I apply 40 newtons, then frictional force will be how much? 40 newton only. Okay, when I apply 49 newtons, then frictional force will be 49 newtons. When I apply 50 newton, frictional force will be 50 newtons. When I apply 51 newtons, then frictional force will be 50 newtons only. That is what I want to explain. Okay, frictional force will be 50 newton only. If you increase this one, then the block will move. If both the frictional force and applied force are same, then the block will be in equilibrium. Once the external force or applied force crosses the limit of frictional force, then only the block will move in any direction of the applied force. Able to understand? When P is given increasing values that are insufficient to cause motion, the frictional force increases to maintain equilibrium. So see here 40 Newton, here also 40 Newton. If 49 Newton, here also 49 Newtons. 15 Newtons, here also 50 Newtons. Once it reaches its limit, then if it is 50 Newtons, this will be only 15. If this is 51 Newton, then this will be 50 Newtons only. Then only the block will move in right direction. Able to understand? Yes. So we can say here as frictional force F is directly proportional to normal reaction. F is directly proportional to normal reaction, isn't it? So from this theory, F is equal to, here to remove this coefficient of proportionality constant, what we do? We add coefficient of friction, that is one constant value, small f into n. So what is this small f? Small f is nothing but coefficient of friction, which is equal to f by n. That what is this f? F is frictional force. F is frictional force, and this is n is normal reaction, and this we say as coefficient of friction. So always remember, coefficient of friction is a constant value, and it is the ratio of frictional force to normal reaction. Okay, it is the ratio of coefficient of friction is the ratio of frictional force to normal reaction. Okay, understood this one? Now we'll move to another topic, that is angle of friction. This is also important. Each and every part which we are taking here is important. Okay, all will be used in our problems. Angle of friction. Now what is angle of friction? See here, again I'll draw the block here. Okay, and this is the block resting on a horizontal surface. This is the weight of the block, W, and this is the force applied in right side direction. So as I told you before, since we have a horizontal surface, so we'll be having a normal reaction, and since the block is moving in right side direction, so what will happen? There will be a frictional force acting in this direction. Okay, so my normal reaction is moving in upward direction, and frictional force is moving in left direction. So since we have two forces, so what happens? The resultant of these two forces will act in which direction? This direction, isn't it? This is my resultant, and the angle made by the resultant and normal reaction, is said to be angle of friction. Able to understand? The angle made by the resultant and the normal reaction. This is phi, is said to be our angle of friction, phi. Okay, so I'll write down the theory here. The particular value of angle between resultant reaction and the normal reaction to the plane, when maximum frictional resistance is acting, when maximum frictional force is acting is defined as the angle of friction. Now what is the meaning of this one, maximum frictional force? So as I told you, the block should move in right side direction, then only we'll be having the maximum value of frictional force. Then only at that location, if you calculate the resultant, you'll get the value, whatever the angle you get is nothing but your angle of friction. Okay, and to further simplify, we have the formula tan phi is equal to F max by n, also known as coefficient of friction. So these are the three things which are very, very important. So tan phi is nothing but your coefficient of friction, and tan phi is also F max by n, isn't it? This thing, the same thing, F max by n we have seen here, isn't it? Coefficient of friction, F by n, the same thing. Tan phi is F max by n. Okay, so these things are very, very important. And next is we have cone of friction. Cone of friction is nothing but, suppose for example, I'll write here cone of friction. Cone of friction. What is the meaning of cone of friction? Suppose for example, we have a body which is moving. Firstly, the same body, it is moving in, this is the weight of the body W, and this body is moving in right side direction, and this is the normal reaction. This is P and this is N, and since the body is moving in right side direction, so the frictional force will act exactly in the opposite direction to the movement of the body, isn't it? So whenever there is a frictional force, maximum frictional force acting, then there will be a resultant acting, provided we'll be having an angle of friction, that is phi. Okay, and again we have another same body and same surface, this is W, and in this case my body is moving in left side direction. So what happens here? Normal reaction will be as it is, and frictional force, this is P, and frictional force will act in opposite direction to the movement of the body. This is F, frictional force. So what happens? My resultant will act in this direction, isn't it? This is my resultant and this is angle of friction. So if you combine these two figures, that is, if you combine these two figures, I will combine here. Alright, this is the surface, this is the body, okay, W, this is the body W, and this is my normal reaction. When you take down two resultants, one resultant is acting from this direction, okay, this is R, and another resultant is acting in this direction, that is, this one is also R. When you combine these two resultants, you'll get a cone type of structure. This is nothing but your cone of friction. Okay, I'll write down the theory here. the definition of cone of friction. Cone of friction. Okay, cone of friction, when the direction of force P, when the direction of force P is changed gradually, is changed gradually, R generates at right resultant changed force P changed gradually through 360 degrees, through 360 degrees, the resultant R, the resultant R generates at a right circular cone, at a right circular cone with semi-central angle, with semi-central angle, okay, equal to the angle of friction, angle right here, equal to the angle of friction. This inverted cone, this inverted cone is known as angle of friction. So this is nothing but our inverted cone, right? So I'll draw the figure once again here to understand the things very carefully, clearly. Okay, so this is my horizontal surface, all right, and here is the block. Okay, this is W. Since see here, when the applied force P is changed gradually through 360 degrees. At one time it was placed here, another time it was placed here. Okay, 360 degrees we have gradually changed the direction of the force. So what happens here? We'll be having normal reaction. Okay, this is N. Resultant will be acting, one time it will act in this direction, and at another time it will act in this direction. Okay, like this. So when you join these two lines, this one and this one like this, so it will form a cone type of structure. Okay, isn't it? This inverted cone is said to be your cone of friction. Okay, so till here I'll stop the class. So in the next class you have to be very thorough in whatever the topics which we have taught today in today's class. Okay, so once you know these topics clearly, then only we will be able to understand the problems which are going to come in the next class. So I request everyone to maintain these notes and try to write down all the formulas and all the definitions in one place, so that it will be easy for you to understand for the next upcoming problems. Okay, thank you.